Make better money choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously. Business Watch is brought to you by Nedbank.
hours. Welcome to Nedbank Business Watch. Thank you so much for choosing us this afternoon. We hope that you're having yourselves a good day. Rather cool temperatures today. We are cooling off after what we experienced yesterday, but some things are not cooling off. Some numbers within the markets are not cooling off, and some are. Some conversations are and some aren't. And we dive straight into all those conversations on Nedbank Business Watch today with my co-host, Sonny Boy Ngongwane. Good afternoon to you, Ngongwane. How are you?
Good afternoon, Mguni. Once again, we meet. We're tracking down how the markets are performing. Right. Like you said, it's 2 p.m. and it's time for us to take a look at how the markets are performing today. And we're giving them everything business. This is a show whereby we keep you abreast with what is happening in the world of business.
And indeed, as we keep you abreast inside the world of money today, timing is everything. And in Southern Africa, timing now runs in real time. The SADC Real-Time Gross Settlement System, known as the RTGS for short, has already processed transactions worth an astonishing 17.56 trillion emalangeni. It is the beating heart of cross-border trade in the region. But where does it go from here? Can we really settle in our own currencies? And how safe is it in an age of relentless cyber threats? That conversation we will have with Sabelo Gama. He is the Deputy Director of Operations Payment Systems from Nedbank from the Central Bank of Eswatini. I beg your pardon. That is the regulator of all financial institutions in the Kingdom of Eswatini. But we'll have a conversation with the sales executive from Solsan, which is a company that is being financed by Nedbank Eswatini. They started in 2017 as an MSME, and they have leapfrogged, and they are becoming a powerhouse in 2025, having covered the whole nation of Eswatini, and have stamped their footsteps in a lot of important developmental projects in Eswatini, as well as just some solar solutions for housing as well as homeowners across the country. We are hearing the news that they have also leapfrogged into South Africa, Nelspruit, where they've opened another branch. So it's a conversation about sustainability. It's a conversation about empowerment, as Nedbank Eswatini has empowered them into what they've become today. It's happening today on the show. We should be starting with it as we kickstart the show this afternoon.
Right, and it speaks to green energy as well. Absolutely. Because if we're speaking solar energy, we are also it's in a phase whereby the world is actually driving towards greener energy, which is much more safer than what we are actually currently facing right about now.
Green energy with the Green Bank. I see what Nedbank is doing there. Green solutions, reducing the carbon footprint. All the emissions that we have been emitting all these years will be a thing of tomorrow as we subscribe to sustainable development goals. That is all that's happening on the show today and more. But first, our business news.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
You're still making good decisions so far afternoon as you are watching this edition of Nedbank Business Watch. Let's get into our business news now.
Now, first story in our business news, the University of Eswatini has launched the postgraduate diploma in public sector accounting designed to empower professionals with advanced expertise, innovative research capacity and ethical leadership. Speaking during the launch at Gweluseni, the Minister for Finance, the Honourable Noel Rickenback, said the course will contribute to enhanced financial transparency, accountability and service delivery in the public sector.
At the moment, we have a lot of students coming out with qualifications of accounting, which are really great, but the accounting is really aligned for private sector accounting, and government accounting is very different and different rules. In fact, we're IPSAS rules and not the normal IFRS rules. So for that reason, actually now there's a course that's been developed by the university that's now going to add an extra year to the degree, meaning that you're now especially trained and especially equipped to be able to handle government. And it's a little bit broad, from procurement to auditing to just normal accounting.
The Vice-Chancellor says there has been an overwhelming number of applicants from professionals, highlighting strong interest in the university's program.
This is a new initiative which has attracted quite a lot of potential students. We're talking about 120 that have already registered. It's going to be addressing issues of finance in the public sector, issues of resource mobilization for public entities and also for projects that government may be involved in. So we find it to be very relevant.
Accountant General Nomsa Simelane unpacks some of the program offerings, shedding light on how they aim to build capacity in key sectors.
The public sector is adopting new accounting standards, the International Public Sector Accounting Standards. This course will incorporate the International Public Sector Accounting Standards and public sector procurement, public sector auditing, also governance and ethics in the public sector.
The University of Eswatini is actively developing new programs designed to meet evolving industry needs and align with national development goals. Reporting, Nelson Dlangamandla from Nkosi Nzinisa, Matsapa.
Over 152,000 transactions worth more than 218 billion were processed last month through the SADC real-time gross settlement system, highlighting its importance to the region's financial sector. Central Bank Governor Dr. Philip Mnisi said the system enables near real-time settlement of high-value cross-border transactions that are between financial institutions within the SADC region. He was speaking to the SADC real-time gross settlement forum, where central banks, authorized banks and non-banks from SADC member states are discussing ways to upgrade the system and boost regional trade.
The conference we are hosting over the next 2 days has brought you all together as key stakeholders and participants from across the SADC region to explore opportunities, share insights, and drive meaningful collaboration on numerous topics and best practices. This event will provide you as experts with exposure to the regional payment industry, networking opportunities with fellow participants and key industry players, and will also help you stay updated on developments within the SADC region. It will also ensure the proper functioning and enhancement of the region's real-time gross settlement system. As we may know, the SADC RTGS is a project of the Protocol on Finance and Investment, which is focused on cross-border and intra-SADC transactions. It is a safe and efficient payment and settlement system which allows central banks and financial institutions in SADC member countries to send and receive payments directly from any of the banks that have operating accounts in the SADC RTGS. This reduces cost by eliminating intermediary banks, as banks in the region can manage their liquidity in a single account rather than having several accounts at different correspondent banks across the SADC region. The smooth operations and successful payments processed on the SADC RTGS system are a result of the efforts and adherence to system rules and regulations that you put in at the different jurisdictions when you process payments. This is in line with the principles for financial market infrastructure, which require that any financial market infrastructure should have governance arrangements that are clear and transparent, promote the safety and the efficiency of the financial market infrastructure, support the stability of the broader financial system whilst being cognizant of other relevant public interest considerations.
All right, 2 stories, never too little for our business news. They say less is more. That marks the end of our business news.
And that's not just the end, but then after the break, Sifiso Nxumalo, rather, my co-host, will be sitting down with Solsan to give us an insight on more on greener energy. And with the Green Bank, green energy, I see what you guys are doing there, just after the break.
Sikwamukele ehlelweni ngwane lomuhle sithembisele nakuqala lihlelo ukuthi namuhla sitawuteka indzaba yekukhonza lesithi ngesingisi sustainability. Sibuka ke sustainability lamuhla njengenqubo letawubuka kuthuthuka kwamabhizinisi nekwakuthi ke live la kangwane liphinzana nalo liyathuthuka etindzabeni nje vele tekuthuthuka emveni la kangwane. Lokuhamba kakhulu ke sisabuka sustainability namuhla sifuna ukuthi kube yinqubo yebhizinisi yangemihla nangemihla singasho ukuthi ngesingisi as an everyday practice for a business. Kunenkampani ke lese vele ibambile leyo ndzaba leyo ibitwa ngeSolsan lebuke kakhulu ema-solutions akasola kuthuthukisa live lakangwane sisateka tona tindzaba tayo innovative solar energy lapha eveni nase-Africa. Sina Reggie Kunene, long sales executive khona kaSolsan lotas unpackela nje asichazele kabanti ngayo imisebenzi yabo nokuthi vele live balibambisa kanjani nokuthi ke batimisele kangakanani kubeka nekulibambisa kubusele Madonsela sikwamukele ehlelweni Ndimanzi.
Asibonga kakhulu Mnguni, ngibingelele wena ngibingelele nababukeli bakho labasibukele beEswatini TV.
Uma sicala nje kucaleni Ndimanze indzaba yakaSolsan sifuna kuva ukuthi ngubani Solsan imisebenzi yakhe vele ithini ukuthi nithi define kanjani nale misebenzi yendeni yendawo.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu Mnguni. Angichaze nje vele indzaba yaSolsan ukuthi Solsan inkampani yaMaswati. Ngiloku khulu lokho ngiloku umgcoka ngoba bantu kumbe encenye sebambona nyalo Solsan ukuthi hayi Solsan sobukeka somkhulu sondlondlobele bese sekuba ngathi ke kumbe kukhona umnyelo memile ngemva. Kusho nje eMaswatini ukuthi Solsan inkampani yaMaswati iqale ukusebenza eveni laseSwatini nga-2018. Iqalwa Maswati 100% nje Maswati. Kule minyaka leyo ke njengoba sathi sonke ukuthi ke kuqala kwethinkampani akuqali lula nekukhula kwato akubilula. Kuyaye nje kube ukuthi nibambe ivision yenu niservice kahle ama customer enu ngoke lokuyaye kube sesextart inkampani sethi yakhula. Kepha ke nishito njalo ke Mnguni kusho nje ukuthi ke vele Solsan is a solar company. Naleli gama lisho ke solar company 100%. Ma products ethu nje each and every day nasivuka nje siyasebenza ngesolar. kude lokunyele sikwentako lokusho ukuthi ke vele siletha lama solutions akasola njengobe uchazile ukuthi ke indleko tiyakhula ngiyalo but nje isola vele sengiyona iletha i-solution.
Nasi nesithombe siveta tona singathi ama products lamahle lenawo ngiyabona ukuthi anaso le story sa 7 years now uthi nje ngaqala 2017 ngibukela ama solar panels lebekandlaleke lapha phasi la samanengi ngiyakhumbula nifika ebo 2018 bekakhwala amancane uthona emambali inkapande sacathi futhi kodwa nyalo sendlala kugcwala umhlaba phasi utastekela nje kabantu ngawo lama products lawo but encenye ngisabuyela kunako lokuvedile indzabeni ukuthi abakhona ama challenges manje saqala when you look back kulabo 2017 awustekele nje kabandi vele ukuthi kwaba ngimaphi lawo ama challenges lenabhekana nawo nokuthi anisita kanjani kuni shape ukuthi nibe nginayo inkampani nyalo bese khona ngidlala emasola agcwala umhlaba.
Oh okay, yes, Mnguni umbuto wakho lo kahle loyo. Ama challenges lesaba nawo kakhulu kade kwaba ngiyona lenzaba introduce le solar.
Okay.
Kwaba into lengazange yabalula leyo. So kwaba i-challenge lenkulu kakhulu ku introduce isolar ema customers ethu bekude kuyethemba bangasisho ukuthi vele kuyasebenza yini. So kwaba ngiyo nje challenge lenkulu but then ngekutimisela ukuthi nase ningene kule field ningene kule field anisahlehla nisaye emva so sa apply ke le aggression leyo ukuthi ke cha bekunene even laseSwatini sesikhona siphethe isolar siphethe isolution indleko te power esethi yakhula silethe isolution
libhange lenisebenzisana nalo iNetbank eSwatini iyayilihambisa kakhulu uhlangothi lokha Green Finance sola ungasho ukuthi uCentral ka Green Finance ngoba sisateka indzabe ukuthi we are reducing our carbon footprints ngumhlaba nangemambala na United Nations usho njalo kuma sustainable development goals.
Yes,
sustainable development goals igama la sustainability ngifuna singene kulo nyalo ne impact yalo ngoba incumbi yethu inkaphanti yayilisebenzele ligama as a buzzword kodwa siyanakala ukuthi uma balisho bona balisho njengendzaba ukuthi we are looking at the future. Nine sustainability is an everyday practice kaSolsan sichazele kabanti ngalolu hlangothi lolo ukuthi usho ukuthini sustainability kini ningiSolsan every day.
Yes, okay, number 1 ngithi lokho vele kuhamba phambili sine ma team ethu ema technicians ethu we make sure ukuthi ema technicians ethu are qualified and each and every time they go for ema trainings lamanye kubuka ukuthi ke ema products ethu angendeka kahle kanjani so that uma ngabe kuna installations ma customer ethu ufuna athembe ukuthi number 1 ku install abantu laba qualified. Then lokho bese sekuyakutshela ke wena ukuthi ke wena njengel customer nangabe uinstall ngiSolsan of which le product esikunikete yona nalendlela uinstallelwe ngayo it will last you longer.
Right.
That is very, very important.
That is sustainability.
Exactly.
That is sustainability.
Than ukuthi encenye so installelwe kumuntu nyalo next year so complain sekuneba complaints you see. So that is very, very important. Number 2 lokukhi ngilama products ethu. As we know ukuthi ama product onke ayatest ama products ethu akaSolsan are certified. They are well tested. So senda sure ukuthi i-product yakaSolsan le customer lephela uyisebenzisa itakumlasta longer.
Yeah.
Noma lilambu lethu akusiyo lapho cisha ibhanye. So we make sure ukuthi i-quality ngafishane nje Mnguni ngithi kaSolsan ufuna i-quality hamba kaSolsan.
Yeah, and
that is sustainability.
That speaks to sustainability.
Exactly.
/ durability. But ngiyafuna singene nakulo sustainability lengicabanga ukuthi nelive limthokotela kakhulu ngoba liyakhona ukuthi ngisho lihambile liye kulamanye amave lifike litigcabe ngaSolsan ekuthenini siyambambisa mhlabhlangene ekuthenini sireduce le carbon footprint. Uma kuthiwa kulayidwa bogesi kunema emissions lento ekako nina nithi nimunya elangeni kuphela. Kukhanye.
Yes, yeah, we are right. Asengubekisela njengama solar panels ethu. Ema solar panels ethu kusebenza kahle kwawo kuthatha bo more than from 25 years upwards. So then uyabona ke ukuthi ke nayo ke ipanel thina lesinawo. You see, and then you cannot buy a product kaSolusan kubuyele emva kancane a solar panel let us say within 3 years because I sustain. Yeah, exactly. So it comes back to say the quality niyo lemtoka. We can have nama ideas esingaba nawo lama ideas ukuthi cha vele ema products akasola wonke umuntu soyawathengisa so wathola nabo my friend noma ngangikuphi asayatholakala ngiyaxolisa kusho kanjalo but asatholakala noma ngangikuphi but then Solusan yena wehluka ngani wehluka ngalokuthi sende siciniseko sekuthi ema products ethu customer lethu nelive litawu sustain. Nyalo nje sengikubekisele live la kaNgwane lisukumile ingwenyama ithi umhulumende imthumile ukuthi imigwaqo ayikhanya. Siyalibona live la kaNgwane imigwaqo seyakhanya kuyoshona le ma product akaSolusan lawo. So siyakubona and siyakujabulela.
Story lesihle kakhulu leso Madonsela ngiyafuna lo ukuthi udeke indzaba ecaleni ukuthi uma nibuka emuva ama challenges lapha khona kwabanje ngilokhu introduce le idea ye solar ngoba angakuba singisi it was something that was foreign. To a lot of emaswati yadayela ukuthi bona nje akhanyisa gesi lona lo thokhana ko lesimtayele nje gesi lo uthengwa ngeke ukuthi soyafaca libone lokwana lokho yesibitayela. Ni some introducile ke base bayamtayela engabe do you have a specific moment nyalo lesingathi when we look back uyasho ukuthi cha siyathi chenya ke nganaye moment naye noma naye projects naye singSolusan ngiyethemba so ivetile ecala ekuthenini imigwaqo yaKaNgwane vele seyiyakhanya ngiSolusan.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu Mnguni. Kuningi lese singakusho ukuthi over the years sikhonile lokusebenta ngakudikhandla njengoba ngichazile kumlaleli ekucaleni ukuthi ku provide equality kwenda sure ukuthi ke ne technical team yethu kusukela officeini siniketa best customer service technical team yethu well trained kwenda ke ukuthi ke ema customer ethu abese ayasethemba. Kumbeka ngingakafiki kuleyo nje kusho njalo ukuthi ke sesikhulile vele Mnguni Solusan sokhulile la Swatini nje sina 2 ema branch ukhona kuMatsapa Solusan ukhona eZulwini eGables Solusan uyamthola lokunye ke ngaSolusan la sakwendile Mnguni ukuthi abese sovula ne branch eSouth Africa eNaspoti. So siyakumangala ke nathi lewo kubeka ke vele ke live la seSwatini eMappini ukuthi inkampani yeMaswati icale eSwatini igcine seyikhula seyingena manje eSouth Africa nakhona ke sibukile sivele le SADC yonke eNkulunkulu amhla sigcinile siyagcina vele sesipenetrate lokungasilula ke kepha ke kusho ukuthi ke nawe limasela lakho lekusebenta la ufasa khona ufasa kucine.
Sisasebenza ngendzaba yemasela sisikhuluma ngelimasela lelikhikhi.
Yes.
Ngoba ngiyanakala ukuthi when you look at our economy as Eswatini. Chances noma ngithema odds ukuthi inkampani yakho iphumelele when you sell pricey items, exorbitantly priced items are very slim just because of our economy, no itadisha. We are permeated by a middle class and a low class. It speaks to what my products are affordable. If Africa, let's speak to affordability.
We are right, Mnguni. Ngicabanga ukuthi nje ngilonke namle ngakuphosa eMaswatini. Ukuthi vele strategy saSolusan ukuthi endesiqiniseko ukuthi iprice yethu iba iprice le pass lokusisitile ke thine ke wena Mnguni njengoba ngishidwa ecala ukuthi ke Solusan is a solar company lokusho ukuthi kude lokunyele sikwenda ngaphandle kwetindzaba takasola tsineke sitoko sethu sihlala sikhona si-order in bulk because ke as-order ngekuthi sekunel customer sekunancumalo so fakela order ufuna 16 panels kumbe ilogo yakhe noma ifuna 10 panels, you see. So ngalama partners ethu esinawo aka finance sitawugcina kumbe ngawo ekugcineni. So siyakhona lokho ukuthi si order in bulk sinema warehouse recently nje state i-warehouse lenye lenkhulu la eMbadlane siyakhe from scratch. Lapho sikhona khona ukuthi lesitoko sethu noma ngabe singanani sita in bulk sale khona. Kwenda ke lokho ukuthi ke when you buy in bulk uthola nama discount ku supplier yakho, then obviously le price yakho utabeza soyayehlisa. So akufanani nenkampani le hamba ithenge manje because sekune order, because so uthenga lokho lokuncane. So ke ngikho lokho sisidako ke kuthi nje ama price ethu noma ngawa comparison noma nganguphi awukhona vele kumbitha Solisana.
Kutanisita futhi nalakuthenini ema customers enu angathi khanzisana kuvuba ke ukuthi nathi aya demand kube vete supply kuhlala ikhona leyo supply in terms of demand. Let's talk about how efficient and how wide the efficiency yalama solar enu goes into a household, for instance, because mostly we are speaking to homeowners. Mangisi nje ngimalo ngiyosupporta Solisana. Khalami is a 3-bedroom house nginabantu bami labang 4. Sinegiza la khaya, siyapheka ngesitofu sagesi, sinabo TV cishe konke kwethu ku-electrified. Uyakhona Solisana ukuthi afika powerisha konke lento lethu.
Isola kudele ngeke kwende. Isola kudele ngeke kwende ngisho idolobha lalambabane nje lonke lingakhanya ngesola.
Bese le value yalapho uma ngicomparisa engcenye with the alternative ngeke ngisho ukuthi what's the alternative. Ngidawuva ukuthi kune relief ekhikhini lami.
Noma waze wasebenzisa nje sola. Ingani mngoni ngakubekisela nje ukuthi noma ungede washintsha konke. But uthi asengicale ngemalamba ngaphandle, you see. Emalambo angaphandle na ungakawanaki ataku ayakudla ku power yakho. So ungaqala nje ngawo ukuthi asengeke ngiteste ngawo. Sengeke ngiyekele ngidisconnect emalamba ngaphandle.
Utava relief le madima ngapha. Manje isikhathi sesilimele ngiyafuna ukuthi nginikete nje 1 minute ukuthi ubonge NetBank long partner wenu lonibambisile ngekuni finance.
Okay, kubonga kakhulu Mnguni. NetBank libhange siyayisibone vele imbala yalo seyigreen shothi vele akusolele emadlelweni alihlata. NetBank ma partners ethu kakhulu ka finance ezumbona Solisana sakhuleka kangaka nje is because of NetBank. Sifinancewa nguye ema project ethu lamaningi Mnguni kusukela nje obengichazile ukuthi we buy in bulk stoko sethu is through NetBank i-finance yakhe. Ema projects ke maningi ama projects esiwendile Mnguni sifinancewa nguye NetBank nase titolo tethu sekulula si online banking makhona kwenda nje ukuthi kube lula ukuthi ku transfereke imali. So siyambonga kakhulu NetBank nekunxusa nje kumbe lamanye emaswati la ku business ukuthi ubathi ufuna abo finance asozame NetBank. Ngiyethemba ukuthi naye umlaleli iphupho lakhe lingafezeka nga NetBank. So siyambonga kakhulu NetBank sibaka Solisana siyamfisela naye ukuthi ke aqhubeke asideliver le maswati. Then ngingagcina kumbeke ngokuthi ke sinikete ama customer babukeli bakho Mnguni tinombolo tethu la ungasithinza khona. Na udzinga nje itinza bataka solar sishayele ofisini 250 251 8814 251 8814 utasithola khona noma ke ku cell phone 7658 8833 7658 abasithinze lapho ke batovatinza baletimnanzi sitobendela into lenhle emaswati la kangayo ikhohlwa inzaba yaka Solisana. Ma project ethu maningi Mnguni siwachazile bawabonile abede noma ngawutsinga yani nje i product yaka Solar sikhonela wena.
Ngithe ngakujuba ndimanze utaqhubeka vele ube ngile sales executive so demonstrator echikunene sales executive Solisana Eswatini. Asibahlonile ukuthi market sibuya sichubeke nehlelo masinyane. All right, you will remember on our business news, we had a story that covered the SADC real-time gross settlement system. And we want to be joined by Sabelo Gama, the Deputy Director of Operations Payment Systems at the Central Bank of Eswatini, who is going to join us virtually via our Zoom video link. And we are going to speak about the importance of the system with data from the Central Bank showing that transactions totaling 17.56 trillion emalangeni have been processed to date. We will also discuss whether member states can trade using their own currencies through this system and whether if it will be an option that is being explored and how secure the system is for trade. It's an important conversation, but we will also want to understand, Mr. Gama, first and foremost, what this system is to start with for someone who is hearing about it for the first time. Mr. Gama is having troubles on his end with his network connections, but we'll try to reconnect with him. We'll be back shortly after the break.
Hi, I'm Golda. I work at the IMF. What is globalization? Well, think of it like a bridge between two countries. Now let's say this country is very good at growing flowers. It has the right soil and plenty of skilled farmers. And just across the river, that country loves flowers, but doesn't have the right soil to grow them. You can see where I'm going with this. With our bridge, trade has blossomed. This country makes money from selling flowers abroad, and that country can start new businesses and sell new products based on their newfound access to flowers. I mean, who doesn't love fresh flowers? Of course, it's not just flowers that can cross the bridge. It can be used to trade almost anything. Plus, there are pathways for investing, communicating, and exchanging ideas. And people can come and go too. Now, what does this have to do with globalization? Well, imagine bridges just like this, connecting countries all over the world. Even countries on opposite sides of the planet. That's globalization. These bridges, these economic links, have made everything from food to electronics cheaper. And not just that, globalization has made the whole planet richer too, especially people in poorer countries. Over the past 30 years, 1.5 billion people have been lifted out of poverty. But this is only part of the story. While globalization has brought more benefits for more people than ever before, it's also true that not everyone has benefited from the increased wealth. For many people, it can appear the bridge is bringing more problems than flowers, and that the economy isn't working for everyone or every country. So what should we do? Well, the solution isn't to destroy our bridges or to throw out the rule book. That would leave us all poorer and less secure. So, do we maintain, rebuild, or redesign these bridges? Write new rules that help them to work better? Or search for new ways to ensure everyone can benefit? Probably all of the above. More than ever, we need international cooperation, countries working together, and the IMF working with its member countries to build the best possible bridges to get us to the future. That will not just be good for the economy, but good for people everywhere.
All right, we've been able to connect with Sabelo Gama from the Central Bank. We want to follow up on the story that we covered in our business news about the SADC real-time gross settlement system, the RTGSS. Sabelo joins us now. He's the Deputy Director of Operations Payment Systems at the Central Bank of Eswatini. Thank you for your time, Mpogane. Let's start by understanding what this whole thing is. It sounds quite complex for the layman, and I'm a layman, I will admit, when it comes to such things. You know, for someone hearing about SADC RTGS now for the very first time, how would you describe what it is?
Okay, good afternoon, Nxumalo, and good afternoon to the viewer. I think the best way is just it is a payment system, Nxumalo. SADC RTGS is a payment system that facilitates cross-border payments within SADC. It mostly is used by your normal commercial banks as they do their they facilitate some of your payments. So if you're paying within SADC, within the countries that are in SADC, which is 15, there are 16 member states, but 15 of them are in this particular system. So this is how we facilitate then these cross-border payments in the region. So just consider it as a payment system. Yes, it's the long name, but it is a SADC payment system that facilitates interbank payments.
Especially now for businesses as well as the whole of the SADC region, as you mentioned, it's for cross-border trade.
Yes, so I think in terms of what we are holding over the next 2 days, today and tomorrow, is a user group conference, which is we've brought together the 15 member states to Eswatini, along with the commercial banks that make up the membership. And we are here to discuss ways of improving our payments, the way we process cross-border payments. So it is a good opportunity to just put or discuss the areas where we are finding challenges with how cross-border payments are processed, both for, of course, in our case, domestic, as in Eswatini payments to other countries and other countries that are paying into Eswatini as well. Certainly within the SADC sphere, this is then what we are discussing with all these member states. In terms of then the opportunity that this system avails, so we, as I indicated earlier, Nxumalo, we have 15 countries that are part of the SADC RTGS system. That means there are countries to which you can pay as Leswati, and also you can receive payments from these countries using the system. We also have 87 commercial banks, which are then banks in those countries, which are using the system. I think just to give you a sense of the volumes, Nxumalo, in terms of the opportunity and why we are meeting and we regularly have these discussions. We have about, the system processes about 160,000 payments a month. And as at last month, so August 2025, the system processed 218 billion or rands, because that's the currency in which SADC RTGS facilitates payments, 218 billion rand in payments that are being processed by businesses, individuals across the SADC. So it is quite a sizable and an important system for the financial facilitating trade within the SADC region.
And I suppose the question of whether it is feasible or it isn't feasible is no longer there, because, you know, with the figures that you have just mentioned, surely it is feasible. We can already see empirical evidence, if you like. I do see how it could really, really catalyze the African Continental Free Trade Area, which wants to be, you know, the world's largest free trade area. And it's a market of what, 1.3 billion people within the African continent. And I just cannot wait to see more of it, you know, bearing fruit. I do want to understand, though, because this figure, this, you know, a figure of what, 17.56 trillion Malangeni transactions that have already flowed through the system. That's a big number. What does it really tell us about regional integration, the trust, about the platform as well as its impact and efficiency?
Yes, I think you are quoting, if you are quoting in the trillions, I think you are quoting a historical number of what has been processed across time. I suppose the system itself was brought to market in 2013 under a different name. So it has been working in the background all these years. And certainly it has been growing and growing to the level where it is with all the number of member countries. I do agree that at this point, it's not a question of whether we should use the system or not. It has built a place for itself, and it's critical in facilitating the trade within SADC at least, and facilitating more seamless payments. And these are part of then the discussions that we have with the other member countries in terms of what we can do to improve and make this wide and even connect to other regions within Africa. You did mention, of course, Pan-Africa. So SADC is just a segment of Africa. It's neither the whole of Africa or the whole of the world. So there are certainly opportunities to grow further. It is a critical regional system for Eswatini and SADC itself.
Yeah, absolutely. And as I take from what you're mentioning about Africa being as big as it is and so many countries within Africa, I want to go back to what you said earlier around the transactions right now being mainly in South African rands. We understand there's conversations around onboarding other currencies as well, right? How far with those conversations and making this a multi-currency system, and what would it take to make that a reality?
Okay. Yes, that is one of the critical discussions we are actually having this week at the conference. It's already underway, where we are both onboarding currencies from the different member states in addition to the rand, which is already in existence. And we are also looking into incorporating even the US dollar into the currencies that can be used to facilitate payments within SADC itself. So this is not... So in terms of how long it will take, part of it is the technical arrangements are certainly far along. It is the legal agreements that then take a bit of time. And of course, because it's a back and forth process between member states, it does move a bit slower than I suppose what we desire. But it's certainly in the process of onboarding several of these currencies. So I'd say it's progressing, but it's in the early stages. I suppose after the initial conceptualization, we would then have proper timelines on when true products to the market may then be available in those currencies. But for now, it's still a process of working them into the system, seeing how it improves the payment process, and then building it out to products to consumers and businesses.
And I suppose if more currencies are being introduced into the system, that would mean perhaps that there's some optimism around Lilangeni being introduced as well. And I wonder myself, in the interest of time, I know we cannot get into that conversation, what that would mean for the Lilangeni, for Eswatini, once it belongs in this regional trade settlements. Some of those opportunities there. Not really interested in some of the hurdles. But thank you so much, Mr. Gama. He's from the Central Bank. We've been speaking on the RTGS. The conversations are still underway, so some of the promises that are there with regards to developing this particular development will come to fruition after the forum is done. That's it. That's the end of this conversation. We have more on Nedbank Business Watch after the break.
Let me ask you something. What if I said we could all be more productive, that we could do more, create more, or earn more, without having to spend more time or effort we put into work? Sounds great, right? So how do we do it? How do we do more with less? For economists, boosting productivity is the trillion-dollar question. So what do I mean by productive? What exactly is productivity? Economists actually measure how many resources go into an economy. and compare that to the value of goods and services coming out. And that's what's called total factor productivity. The better and more efficiently an economy uses its time and resources, the higher its productivity. Let me show you what I mean. What if I wanted to open a restaurant? What would I need? A budget, tools, some ingredients? Of course, you can't have a good meal without an experienced chef. Once we have those, my customers get a great dining experience, and my restaurant starts earning revenue. But there's so much more to running a restaurant than just good cooking. I have to spend time ordering ingredients, doing taxes, taking reservations, seating charts, property management, getting permits, renewing safety, managing, updating, hiring, and firing. Doing those things takes me time I'd rather spend making meals. Fewer meals means turning away customers and losing out on revenue. My productivity could be so much higher if I use technology to streamline those things. But I can go even further. Here in the kitchen, I can also use technology or hire someone to take over the routine tasks. So now I can focus on making the perfect meal. My kitchen, with all its fancy gadgets to help me out, isn't so different from how wealthy economies use technology, trade, or innovation to boost their productivity. But imagine I don't have these tools. That's a problem that many poorer countries face, and it's one that the IMF takes pretty seriously. Because without access to productivity boosters, they earn less, and so living standards remain low. There's no one solution. But we do know that investing in science, technology, and education does help our members to do more with less over the long term. It's investments in our future that'll make us all better off and give us more time to do the things we love.
Welcome back. You're still watching Nedbank Business Watch, and right about now in this segment we are doing the market analysis, and with me is Sandiswa Dlamini from Nedbank to give us an analysis of how the markets are performing today. And actually he's going to give us the news starting from the market analysis with the Federal Reserve Bank. First of all, welcome to the show, and they give us a breakdown actually of what is happening with the Federal Reserve Bank in the US today.
Thank you, Mr. Ngwane, and good afternoon to your viewers at home. So as you have rightfully said, there's a lot happening, especially starting off with the Federal Reserve in the US. This will be followed by the SARB in SA and then the CPE in our country. So this week we are getting interest rate decisions. So the US will announce theirs today, of which it's following the announcements in terms of their data where they released the CPI data, which indicates inflation levels in the US. So these numbers were exactly as targeted or as projected by economists at 2.9%. So this leads to the fact that the market is predicting, or it has already priced in a 25 basis points cut for the Federal Reserve, which will happen today. So going forward, what we are expecting is to also get a view on the tone from the chair of the Federal Reserve to see what might come in the next 12 months. We have economists analyzing that there might be 100 basis points cut within the next 12 months, and that will definitely affect the US economy. We are seeing the results of this in terms of the currencies. The US dollar is losing a bit of ground against the rand, against the euro, and against GBP, and this is because it's already pricing in the cut by the Federal Reserve. But the SARB is also expected to make their decision tomorrow. We already have the inflation numbers in that side, whereby we have seen 3.3% inflation from SA, but we have already seen that their retail sales have also picked up by 1.6%. So there's a bit of a confusion because the picking up of the retail sales suggests that there might be inflationary pressures in South Africa. But the inflation levels of 3.3 is quite low compared to their original target, which was a midpoint of 4.5%. So we are still going to see what the SARB is going to do in SA, and in turn, the CPE is going to make their decision on Friday to also see if we are cutting by 25 basis points or maintaining our current levels.
Right. Of interest now would be Eswatini, of course, like you're saying, that CPE will be releasing theirs on Friday. Could you safely say there will be any changes on that, and especially given that the Central Bank of Eswatini dropped theirs a few months ago, but then now, do you think the decision by the US is going to, by South Africa, the decision by South Africa is going to have us change ours, or maybe they're going to remain the same?
We believe that ours will be independent, and it will be based on our inflation numbers, and it will be also based on our current state of the economy. So at this stage, we still have an interest rate differential between South Africa and Swaziland, and from previous interest rate decisions, we noticed that sometimes the South African government, the South African Reserve Bank, can cut their interest rates and ours being maintained. So that might still happen. We are still not sure. We are going to hear from the central bank what their decision is on Friday.
Let's talk commodities now. We saw a good performance with gold. I think it was yesterday's markets. Tell us more about what was happening there for those that are trading in that section.
Yes, thank you for that question. So the interesting part in commodities, we have gold. So gold is always used as a safe haven for investors, whereby they use a lot. They tend to buy a lot of gold in terms where the market seems a bit not stable. We have a lot going on in the Middle East. There's threats for wars, and a lot is happening. So we are seeing record highs in terms of the prices of gold. So yesterday, we reached a record high, whereby the gold price reached 3,700 yesterday. So, but because there are lots of investors that held long positions in the market, so they were getting out their profits. That's why the price of gold retreated to quite lower levels today. So, but moving forward, we do expect that gold will continue to rise, and we have economists suggesting that the price of gold might reach levels of 4,000 by the end of the year. I think last week the projections was 3,900. So the price of gold does seem to be on the rise. And on the side of oil, oil prices are also increasing. In recent news, what we saw is that Ukraine was attacking Russia. Specifically, it was targeting their oil infrastructure, which is a big deal in terms of oil supply. So this, in turn, is disrupting the oil supply from the Middle East, and with this it will affect the oil supply might drop. And also what we have noticed is that the US have released their numbers in terms of their oil reserves. They have also dropped, which means the oil supply in the market might be affected by that.
I mean, we're pressed for time now. Let's move straight into equities, and I know that you've got news in there. So let's go straight into equities.
So in equities, the biggest news for today is that China have announced that it's instructing its tech companies from China to reduce or stop buying chips from NVIDIA, which is the biggest tech company currently, or biggest company just overall, with over 3 trillion market cap. So this news did not come as a surprise, as we do expect China to continue to retaliate against the US, pertaining the tariffs and their trade. Sort of, it's not a trade war yet, but there is definitely trade tension between the two countries. So these have led to massive losses in terms of their stock price for NVIDIA, which are currently down 1.6% since today in the morning. And we have also seen companies like Microsoft also dropping significantly, 1.88%. And this comes after the CEO of Microsoft announced that or sold a big portion of his stocks for Microsoft, and this sends a bit of shockwaves to investors who are now questioning or like having a bit of second thoughts in terms of the direction of Microsoft.
So they're reluctant now.
Yes, because the leader is deciding to sell the stock, so there is that. And we also have Alphabet, who also lost quite a bit today, 0.75, and this is coming from AI search engines. So they have, you know that Google have this search engine, but now there's also developments around AI where we might see search engines like specifically from AI. So most people are now using AI to search for stuff instead of going to Google. So that's, there is that, and Alphabet have a deal with Apple to use their search engine as the primary search engine, and that's a 20 billion deal. So there's a threat to that deal. Otherwise, the S&P 500 is definitely falling because of those news. And just to move to the FTSE index and also the JSE All Share. For the FTSE index, there's been a lot coming from their pharmaceuticals, their mining industry, and their banking sector, which dropped this morning. We have seen AstraZeneca dropping to levels of by 0.8%, and we have mining companies like Fresnillo, which dropped like by 3.75%. This was a big margin and beating market expectations. And on a positive note, we are seeing JSE All Share reaching also record highs. It's at 104,000 currently in this morning. And this is coming from, mostly we are seeing the mining sector in South Africa in terms of platinum, copper, and silver.
Right.
So these industries are currently up. Platinum is up 2.04. Copper is up 2.07, and silver is up 5.98. So,
all right. In conclusion, let's take a look at currencies. The US dollar is standing at selling at 17.38. Talk us more about the currencies today.
So the currencies, as we have just notified, 17.39. This is quite low. It's coming from last week's levels was 17.55, and this is it's a bit of a depreciation from the US side, but just for your info, we also had reached levels of 17.3, which was surprising the past 2 days. So this is a bounce back from the US, and this response from currencies, it's also coming from the interest rate cuts, which are expected, which are now already being priced in. But what we are going to probably monitor and see is if those expectations are not realized. If the interest rate cut is not 25 basis points, maybe it's higher, then the market will react to that to price in the new decision. But at the moment, we have these levels. The euro is at 20.6056, and GBP at 23.72. So in the morning, all these rates were quite low. We opened at 17.34 in the US. We also opened at 20.56 with the euro, and 23.67 with sterling. So this is a bounce back, definitely coming from the US.
All right, that brings us to the conclusion of what has been an interesting market analysis from Nedbank. Thanks so much, sir, for your time. Right about now, let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, Sfiso and I shall be concluding. And in fact, right about now, let's just conclude the show. It's been an interesting time that we had with you. Thanks so much for your time. Bye-bye.
Make better money choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously. Business Watch was brought to you by Nedbank.